Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So let's just all take a deep breath. Shake out a little. Let go of what it took to get here. I just want to stand up and shake out. Shall we do that? Do that for me, with me. And then this one. Ha, 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 ha. Yay. Thank you. I feel better. So let's take a moment and really arrive in our bodies. Breathing in, letting your light spiral down your center, follow it in. Take up residence in your core. With each breath, arriving more completely, it allows your core to become magnetic, draws you in and sends everyone else back to them. You might release your old grounding, start fresh. Breathing all the way in, arriving in the heart of now. And then opening to the light of your being as if your crown chakra can blossom up into these higher dimensions, and calling in the light of your soul. Use your hands if you wish to draw that light in and let it fill you completely. Notice where it goes in your body and where it doesn't. And then call in more light. Let it fill you and radiate out and fill the 4-inch layer of your auric field. Fill the 4-inch layer of your auric field. So each breath, you bring the light in more deeply, and then let it fill that inner layer of your field. The front, behind, both sides, above, below. Letting go on the out breath. Filling up and creating that sovereign field on the in-breath. And then if you wish to make it even a little more protective and stronger, you can imagine putting a mirror on the outside. Make the outer layer of that aura a mirror. So any energies that come towards you get reflected back. And if it's light, it comes in. If it's not light, it gets reflected back to its source. And just notice how that feels to be encompassed in a field of light. Ah. And if there's anyone that tends to really get in your energetic field, I want to teach you this little piece about creating a rose. So just think of someone that, oh, their energy's challenging for me. And create a rose way outside your field, above your house maybe. And put that person in the rose. And put all their energy in the rose. And any scenes between you and them, imagine putting them in the rose. Any feelings, any issues between you, put them in the rose. And then when you feel ready, ask the angels to wrap that rose in a sphere of light. Take it way out into the atmosphere. Blow it up or burn it. They get their energies back and you get yours back. And then once again, bringing in your light, filling up. Just notice if you let go of that sovereignty at all, thinking of that person. Filling with your light, feeling that encompassing light all around you, the mirror outside. And bless yourself. And if you like the feeling you have right now, add it to your anchor. Building this anchor for whenever you need to bring your energy up. Beautiful. As you're ready, opening to the circle. So let's do our check-in. Any wins or challenges, progress of whatever you're creating, intentions, how you're doing on them, or whatever you'd like to share. And who would like to time?
I will.
Great. Thank you, Jasmine. Who would like to go first? Diana?
First of all, I want to say everybody looks lovely today. I love Olivia's hair and everybody just looks really pretty today.
Yeah.
And Heather's top. Anyway, well, I finally got bids out for the roof and the painting on my rental property. I don't have any responses yet, but I've contacted several people on both accounts to have them go out and do bids for me on that. And so I'll see where I stand after that, which feels good. I had met a woman I was at eating dinner, and this woman sat down with, this man had been sitting there for a while, and she came over and joined him, and she was going through the checks in the restaurant and totaling them up and doing something. And so I asked her if she was a bookkeeper, and I invited her, we talked and invited her to come over to interview to do books for me. But it turns out that she works for an estate sale person. And I thought maybe it would be better if she works for me in that regard. And she's going to probably end up being an assistant, but she's very busy. She's got lots of things going on. So I don't know how that'll evolve, but I'm very happy about this forward motion, and I'm excited about that. What else? Oh, I've been trying to love myself more and just take it all in and sparkly. And I did a second, Anthony Williams, the medical medium, has this meditation called Breathing Light, and it's so simple. He was taught this as a child, and he continues to do it to this day. But I've never seen the light so powerful as this very simple but a powerful meditation. Thank you. Sorry, I am complete. Oh well, I'd love to get some love-ins. Absolutely, sparkle me. Thank you. Yeah, it's so good. Oh, yummy. Thank you, girls.
So good feeling received, isn't it? Who's next? Lucinda?
So this week, everything continues to just kind of fall into place. I've been a little bit tired and relaxing and doing the balancing a little bit more in my desire to clear and to make space and to be even more intentional. And then I got to spend some time doing some yummy, fun stuff to create some space for all of us to actually get together. And that's been feeling really good. And on one of my things I had listed was to have a girls' retreat. So it's really interesting that in September, it appears to be this group, not with my original pack, but my new pack. So I'm really excited about that too. It's just interesting how that's organically coming about. And then, of course, my heart's filled with gratitude for each of you. I just want to thank you for showing up and being here and asking your questions. And you've really helped me in so many different ways. Each one of you has been a mirror and a teacher for me. And I thank you so, so much. To be able to love and to sit in a place of compassion and not judgment and practice that feels really good. So thank you. I am complete and I would love some loving. Thank you.
Yay. And who's next?
I can go.
Great.
So I have been receiving new activations in my whole being. And part of it is I got together, well, Lucinda actually supported me in calling this in. So thank you, Lucinda. But Spirit says you need to find your drummer. And we kind of said a thing that the drummer would contact me in 24 hours. And it was a sister I just kind of met and been in contact with. And she actually did get my message from a week ago, and she contacted me back in the 24-hour time span. So it was really like magical, and my soul loves those kind of games, I guess, the mysteries of how it works. And so we gathered at the water and played the bowls and the drums and sang light language. And it was so powerful. And we were inspired to do videos, and we did a Facebook Live of it.
Mm.
And so I felt I've done some light language online before, but it was like I was in the Azores in a really high place. And this time when I did it, it felt like I was in one of the most authentic, true places I've ever been. And I had like, I don't really care about this stuff, but for some reason in this moment it mattered. But like, there's like been 500 views already combined on this, and a few likes and no comments. And I always do posts and I get like 10 comments or so, and it's interesting, like a past lover guy who's in Granada right now texted me, and he's like, that was the most powerful thing. And it opened up my soul and my emotions. And I'm like, well, thanks for the feedback. That's the only thing I've heard from my people. And he's like, because that was soul transmission, not human transmission. People don't have words. Like the human does not know how to respond to this. So that's what I've been working on. But meanwhile, my whole body, I'm receiving waves in my morning and night. It's like the light is coming from, maybe it's also the Tantra work. I know I'm done, but from the Tantra work, I feel like it's coming from the earth through me. Because I penetrated that all into the earth, and now it's coming up that way as I'm sleeping. I'm like, whoa, like in the waves of my upgrade. So that's what I'm going through. Thank you.
Mm. All right. Lynn Sparkles? Mm. Yay. Next.
I
Nina?
can go ahead and go. This week was great. I spent the entire week with my mom, so that was absolutely phenomenal. She's 88, so it was amazing. We did have a challenge or so because one of her really close friends passed away. So that was holding space for her. And yes, but I'm grateful that she was here with me so that she did feel all the love and support and everything. And losing a dear friend. And all is well with everything else. So as Lucinda said, I'm very grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for her for organizing the whole retreat in September. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. So so much gratitude and thank you. And I would love some love. Thank you.
And who's next? Heather?
I've been feeling just really like every day is just so full. And I think one of my intentions last week was to try to get things done, and I've not yet to do that. And I think I'm just feeling like a day by day challenging energy. So not feeling great actually. And yeah, don't really have anything super positive to say right now. So I'll just be authentic and say that. And I'll take some love.
Authentic is good.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything about the challenges?
No, no, not really. Just parts of myself that by virtue of daily life have just been kind of like, I think astrologically we're in the middle of some really intense energies, and I think I'm just noticing that they're happening. So yeah, thank you though.
Okay. Well, that's a little more loving. Ah. And next.
I'm feeling a little bit energetically kind of spun around in circles right now. A lot of creative energy coming in. I actually stayed up very late crafting last night, which was lovely, but then I couldn't fall asleep because I was so in the process. And but one really amazing thing happened while I wasn't sleeping, which was that I was staring at the stars out my window and I saw a shooting star, and it just felt really magical and like this beautiful reminder of even when things feel like misaligned or like a little bit off, how good it is to be here in nature and to be kind of where I am. And had a lot of trouble visioning things lately. This week has felt like it's hard to kind of call in that vision of what I'm seeking right now. So just trying to be in the unknown without as much resistance. I think I'm complete with that.
Okay.
And I would love some loving.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yay. Jasmine, I think it's you.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. What do I feel like sharing? Sunday was amazing. I wrote about it in the Mighty Networks about an hour ago. But I had a very magical day. I was just following the flow. Sundays I usually allow just to like clear the space and allow myself whatever I feel God is guiding me towards. And I wanted sushi, so I ended up at Zen Sushi in Asheville, and then went to I think it's called the Raven and Chrome, and looked around, and I just mentioned it looked like there was a woman who did readings there, and I told the ladies behind the counter, and they're like, "Here, put on a mask. She's here. She's amazing." Like they're basically like, "You're going to do this." Okay. So I got a pretty remarkable reading from a woman named Pamela, and she was so tapped into so many things about me. It was very healing, and it's good to be seen so clearly. And what came up the most for me actually is that it's time for me to learn how to receive, because I spent my life giving and being so responsible and being for others so much, which is really big for me because I've been like sitting with like what I want to offer and all the things I need to do. So I'm gonna be focusing more on that, just allowing receiving from, because wherever it comes from.
Great.
Thank you. I'd love some love. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
Yay. I'm just reflecting on how lovely it is once a week to kind of glean the week, to go back over what is and what's happened. So I've been training my new person. I feel like I've been training, interviewing, hiring, and training since May, which I have. And I think she'll be good. In many ways, she's great. And in other ways, she's challenging. She's never eaten an avocado. She's never gone to an organic grocery store. She's not, in that part of the mentality that I'm used to. And she's thrilled with the job. And she's learning a lot really quick. And it's challenging for me because I want to get to the heart of what I want to do, which is the videos I want to make and such. So Saturday, I took the evening just for me and spirit. I spent hours in kind of a little journey with my beloveds on the other side of the veil, and I really feel like I got myself back. It was so good, and resolved some really deep issues, because it was a very personal channeling about my connection with spirit. And I've been feeling a little distant personally, like I'm great in sessions, but my own love affair with the divine was a little affected by all of this. And I'm back. Feels so good. Feels so good. Went for a walk Sunday with a friend because I'm adding in more walk time. Then I did another one because somehow I lost my glasses in the forest. These are old ones. So I did a second walk, and then I went there again yesterday and can't find them. So that's really interesting. I've lost 2 pairs of glasses in a month. So I'm really looking at what am I not seeing? I need to see things differently. Everything has its lesson. What else? I'm really fortunate with the life I have. And I'm excited about the time in September with you. I think we'll have a lot of fun playing with what we've learned in the water and just sharing our sacredness with each other and our play. Yay. I'll take your lovin'. Everyone on the planet should get ahead of this. So let's also send it to Liz. So in a replay, we're thinking of you, Liz, on the plane right now. Safe travels, beautiful time with your beloveds. And we miss you, and you're a part of us. Blessed be. Yay. So I'm going to, the next thing we had on our poll that came in is something everybody wanted, which is creating rituals and all the ways that we can use rituals in our lives and our work. And I just posted on the group because as soon as I finished planning it, I opened an email from one of my favorite teachers, Jessica Hadari. Her work is fabulous, and her free offerings are exactly what I want to suggest we study, because she gives so much, and then her promotion is just woven in, but she's also giving a lot of content. So she has 13 rituals for manifesting your dreams, and it's next Friday, so you've got that link in Mighty Networks. So rituals, they're so valuable for shifting consciousness, activating sacred connection, and a ritual can be a call for change. They create a rite of passage, and they open new doors. The subconscious changes by ritual and imagery. So when you do ritual, you're shifting the ground the groundwork, and you can shift some of those early patterns in your psyche through ritual. Sometimes nothing else shifts them. A ritual can be as simple as lighting a candle, saying an intention and a prayer. So I have a friend who I used to go on Friday for her Shabbat dinner, and I loved how she would do it. She'd light a candle, she'd call in Shekinah, which a lot of Jews don't realize is the Queen of Heaven, that it's really an exalted feminine presence. And then we would take the candlelight and fill our aura with it. That was a beautiful ritual. And then her chant. So it can be that simple. And anything can be made into a ritual if you say it with intention. Holding hands around the table and saying grace is a ritual. It's setting an intention, brings us present, and elevates the consciousness around the food. If it's an actual rite of passage, I think it takes pre-planning, and it's worth the time, because as you prepare sacred space, it signals the mind and the subconscious mind, whoa, something different's happening here, like setting an altar, lighting the candles. So an altar set up specific to that event is really valuable. And then you go through your sacred objects and your ritual tools and gather the ones that really feel right for that event. So that's signaling inside what it is you want to honor, what it is you're calling in. If you're doing a ritual with another, a lovely thing to do, and especially for a couple before lovemaking, is to create an altar and both bring objects, and then you each share the meaning of that in your world. So this came from my trip to Maui, and it was right after we went into the crater, and it represents my opening to the divine in a whole new level. So you get to know each other better, and you get to share your sacred life with another by sharing what the object means to you. So I think all rituals have at least 3 parts. The opening, so that's setting the sacred space. It might be invoking the 4 directions. When we do our opening here, we call in the divine. It might be calling in guides. It sets the stage for the ritual. And it lets you know that we're entering, in the Wiccan tradition, the world between the worlds. And so we're entering something unlike normal consciousness. In a group, it might be meditation, centering, having people check in, maybe with intentions. Often for a ritual, there are very few words. So you might say your name and 1 word or phrase. And one of my favorites with a larger group is what's called instant replay. And so I'm going to say my name and a gesture or a sound, and everyone repeats it. So it helps people learn each other's names. So we're standing in a circle, and I might do Evelina and move in a circular fashion into the circle. And then everyone does it. So they have a little taste of me, and we have a taste of each person. So you see how that is setting a consciousness that we're co-creating something new. I love that one. Another in our dance community in Sebastopol, another way to do names would be to say to the person, I would say, I'm Evelina, and the next person would say, I'm Olivia, and this is Evelina. I'm Diana, and this is Olivia. Or it might be the other way. This is Olivia, and I'm Diana. So you say the other name and your own. So again, we're discovering each other and each other's energies. And that's creating a shared intention. Then there's the middle. And the middle is where you name your intention, your purpose. I think when you're working your intention, it's more powerful if you include action. Could be chanting, everyone chanting a chant together, dance, movement. You notice I often involve some kind of movement or clearing. When you involve the body in creating the changes you want the ritual to create, then it's adding power to the ritual. And I think very often the shifts we want are beyond verbal. And so we add the nonverbal to call in the other parts of us. And if we add something playful, then our inner kids can get involved as well and be a part of the change. When you embody the bringing in something, I like to start with letting go. When you embody letting go and bringing in, then it gets the attention of all your bodies, all parts of you. And then in the middle, you move, you're creating the intention, you're calling forward what you want to call, and then you work towards some resolution. So it might be that you have a fire in the middle and people are naming what they want to release and they bring it to the fire. Or they're writing it down, putting on the altar, or they bring a stone that represents it, they hold it, they infuse it with what their intention is and put it on the altar. The resolution might be that they're burning something they've written, they may bury a symbol, or very dramatically claim their new reality. I had a client in a reading last week that he was talking about all these other people that were running his life, and he kept gesturing right here. And I said, sounds to me like they've got your balls. And he went, you got it. So we had him go into the forest and talk to the trees and claim his balls, claim his body. And he did it. And he feels really different. So that's ritual. You take it into action. And I often assign something. I often will tell people to go in the forest. This is the claiming of the new way. Go in the forest and stomp around and claim, this is my body. This body belongs to me. And really let nature know that. So whatever they're working to, take them out into nature to enact it, because it makes a bigger change. I've seen rituals where we will do something with the altar and release and then receive, because you always want to fill back up. And so it might be everyone receives a rose. It might be there's a scroll with an affirmation on it that the one you choose is the right one for you. So something comes back in. And this is where I feel with therapy and channeling and healing is you do a cleansing, you do a release, and then you want to do a filling up. One of my first really intense clients was a survivor of ritual abuse. And she would work with a therapist in the city, and they would go into memories and clear them. And then she'd release her on the street, and she couldn't even figure out how to deal with a stoplight. She didn't know how to cross the street because she was like 4, 6, 5, whatever years old. And so one of my first therapists taught me that you always have ups and outs. That you make sure you go as deep as you go, but you get the person back to their adult consciousness before they leave. And I always did that with her. Even if you do less, you get them back to a functioning consciousness so the adult can take them home. You want someone who can drive. So some kind of closure, resolution is really valuable. And then the third part is the closing of the space. So that's where you have any final prayers, you thank the four directions, you unravel what you created as the sacred space. So if you notice when we channel, we start with the invocation and grounding. Then we have the middle, the channeling, and then we have the completion. So we always close the space and release each other and do the ah, om or something at the end. It's gotten to where the more I work, the more everything is a ritual. All my workshops, they have so much ritual in them. And I try to include all the elements. So on the altar, you might have something for water, a goblet, a bowl. You might pass a bowl around and people touch their third eye or sprinkle them, or someone sprinkles them. So water, fire, candles, or incense, or I was seeing Carrie burning something in her space to clear the space. So you might have someone smudge, although you want to make sure that people can handle it. I have one friend that if there's smudging in the room, he's gone. He's allergic to it. So for him, what we learned, because he came to all my workshops, was we would smudge with sound. And so we'd have the person stand, and then we'd take a chime or a bowl and just go all around them with the intention of cleansing, and the sound would clear them. So you adapt to the people, anything that transmutes energy. Something for earth, crystals, stones, wood. Something for air, angels. Let's see, we have our angel. And images of light, or something that symbolizes air, which is mental, but I also think of air as bringing in the higher elements. And spirit. So images of ascended masters, goddess statues, something that represents that element as well. If it's a rite of passage for a person, then I really work with them, or whoever's the ritualist. You want to work with them and find out what the rite of passage means, what they're leaving behind, what they're calling in, how they want to symbolize that. And that pre-planning is an important part of a rite of passage, because they claim it then. A ritual isn't something you do to people, it's something you do with people. So if I'm planning a ritual with people, I want several ritualists. I want a musician that's going to bring their music, and others who bring their elements, and then we plan it together. And I used to save my old business cards, I cut them in half, and then I would write everybody's ideas on the cards, and then you could move them around, make the ritual come out the way you want. Because what happens if you just, okay, now your turn, is one person has you stand up, the next one has you sit down, the next one has you stand up, the next one has you sit down. You want it to be a flow. So if you're standing, maybe it's 2 or 3 things standing, then you go into stillness, then you come back into activity, and then you might go back to stillness. So you see, you're creating an overall flow with everyone involved. So I wanted to give you an example of a rite of passage. This was one that I attended, and a friend of mine planned it with this woman, Venus. And it was a rite of passage out of a really dysfunctional relationship and opening to something new. So they created 3 altars. And the one was to the past, the present, and the future. This is a great way for rituals, and I often will suggest it to people. So the past had representations of what was so good about the relationship and what was so challenging. And some papers from the divorce that could be destroyed, and some things that she just wanted to get rid of. And so she went to that altar and she shared with everyone what she honored and what she was letting go of. And then she took those things and buried them in the earth. Then she went to the present and she honored where she is now and how she's opening, and shared the symbols of her opening to love of herself, and that has to come first. So the present was all about her self-love. Then she went to the future and used that to call in the woman that she wanted the most for her future, and what kind of person and how the relationship would be, and offering up whatever in her was in the way of it. So another way to do it is you blow the candles out on the past. I had a ritual with a therapist when I was at a place of, I'm not part of this family. I want to really clear my family energy. And he had me bring images of all my family members and images of who I would want in my new family, which were mostly Kuan Yin and Babaji and beings of light. And first we put all the images of my family behind me, and I got to say to them what I needed to say, and then turn the pictures down. And then I turned to my new family, and one of them I appointed as my mother, one my father, one my godmother, my godfather, my grandmother, my grandfather, my sister, my brother. Now I had a whole new family, and it shifted something in me so deep from my incest background. It was like, I'm not a product of that anymore. I belong here. Really powerful. So when you're doing rituals with others, you have people maybe lead grounding, leading chants, doing activations. I think it's really powerful, no matter how many people are in the circle, for everyone to get involved at some level. So you have something that people bring to the altar while everybody's chanting, or something they burn, something they declare, or a spiral dance. I've done a spiral dance with 450 people. Who's led a spiral dance? Oh, they're so wonderful. So I would almost always do a spiral dance at the end of my weekend workshops. And with like 30, you start. So here's the circle. And you start here, and boy, it's been a long time. Yeah, you have this person stay still until the circle moves, and then you walk past everyone. And then you walk into the middle, and then you turn and you walk out, and now you're facing everyone as you walk out until you're back in a circle. And you invite people to really look in people's eyes, and you're singing to each other. Do you want to see that again? Did you follow? Let's see it again. You got it. Okay. So now with 450 people, if you do that, or 200 or 100 or whatever, people on the outside are going to be waiting forever. So what you do is you make a bunch of concentric circles. And then you take the middle one and you break, and you get that person to take a hand in the next one, and this person to take a hand in the next one. This takes a hand in the next one. This takes a hand in the next one. Now you're one circle. And you start your spiral, and almost immediately you're facing people going back out. Isn't that fun?
The first round, are you looking at each other?
In the beginning, you're all looking in the middle, toward the
Okay.
middle. But the reason I make a small inner circle is so I'm going to this person is where the break is. I'm going to go around the middle and I'm looking at them. But then I'm going to turn and I'm going between each circle. So
Okay.
everyone comes in the middle and
So you
turn.
create, when people first start, you create 2 circles.
Yeah, or 20.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
If there's more than like 20 or 30, you want 2 or more circles.
Okay.
But then you link them up.
got it.
If you're ever going to do that, call me and I'll walk through it with you. It's extraordinary. Have you ever done them?
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So in the Starhawk, in her rituals, we'll lead a spiral dance with 200 people. And you're just dancing and singing and you're walking past other women and you're looking in their eyes and your hearts are open and they're open to you. And it's really quite amazing. That's a great way to complete a ritual. I think that singing and dancing really increases the power of a ritual because that stuff about the parasympathetic nervous system, it resets, it takes you into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest, digest, renew, and regenerate. So you get people chanting for a period of time, they're going to get rejuvenated just from that and from the connection. I already told you that. So one of my favorite openings to a workshop, I would do this in the 6-month group, which it got to where ritual was woven through the whole weekend. But I would, rather than just having people check in, I would have them go inside, ground center, and get what would they most like to compost in their life? And what seeds do they want to plant? And have them really be with that. And then I'd have them stand up. No, then I'd have them go around, say their name, and in a phrase, because you want to keep check-ins short unless it's a group like this. You've got 30 people. If they take a minute, it's boring. So the more people, the more you make your check-ins really brief. So one phrase, what you compost, and what you're calling in. So I'm going to compost all the ways that I let my fear keep me from accessing my power. And what I am planting seeds for is living fully in my power and let it guide me through my life. Go all the way around, then I'll have them stand, and then we enact it. And so I'll have them stand, and you want to do it? Okay, let's do it. So tune in. What would you like to compost in your life? You'll get to feel the power of this. What would you most like to compost? What do you want to let go of? Bring it down to a phrase. And what seeds do you want to plant for your new way of being? You got it? So rather than share, we're just going to do the release part. Okay. So stand up and have them all stand. And I would say, so the subconscious changes by ritual and image. And the more dramatic you are, the more it shifts. So let's let go. Ha, 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 send it into the earth. Ha, 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 ha. Check out. Ah, shake it out of your body. Beautiful. Now we're gonna make a big, what do we call it? Whirlpool in the middle of the room. And you know that old-fashioned water closet? Grab it. We're gonna flush it into the earth. Woo! Yeah. All right. And then call in the light, let it wash you through. And those seeds you want to plant, hold them in your heart. Hold them in your heart, maybe in your belly. Feel those seeds. Call in the light of your soul, let it shine on those seeds. Empower them, see if you can find a yes to that arriving in your life, a yes. Yes, I accept, yes, I allow, yes, I am. And then offer them up to the universe. This is what I require. This is what I request. I'm a big yes. I allow. Bring it about. Blessed be. And release it. Yeah. Come back to your seat. So what did you notice? Anyone want to share briefly? You can just touch your space bar and say.
I appreciate bringing these intentions in because I feel like it's another way of me showing commitment to spirit.
Mhm.
That my human isn't my driver and that like I'm a yes with my mind, body, spirit
Mhm.
to committing to the new. And I think it helps because I think the letting go, it is a process, right? We let go in layers.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so like I did it here, it is, and then I'll have to probably do it an hour later and another, because it's like how those little energy strands, but it is done. It's already done and reminding myself it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you.
Beautiful.
You should do it here today.
It's also what you're saying is that you're offering it up and it's more than you know already because you've got the seed. But you're inviting collaboration. Yeah. Anyone else? Did you feel a shift? A little? A lot? None? Jasmine?
I can't remember what question you asked. But I let go of relationships that hurt and drain me, and I'm calling in divine union and divine love.
Yeah.
Relationships that are harmonious, peaceful, nourishing, pleasurable, and divine.
And so this helps you embody that. And had we all shared in advance, then we're all witnessing that, letting go and calling in. That adds the power of the circle. Yeah. Beautiful. So, this is Diana.
I actually wasn't really sure what we were doing. So I just turned it over to spirit and let spirit do what it wanted to do. And, and it feels great, but I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I wasn't really somehow with you, or I wasn't sure what we were doing exactly. So I just sort of, oh, well, I'll just turn it over to spirit and let spirit take care of it.
Well, this is I love this actually, because if I do this at the beginning of a workshop and they think they came to listen, and I do a ritual like this, there will be people who go, I don't know what we're doing now, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I did it right, blah, blah, blah. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm willing to have the people have the experience, because I think it will shift something anyway. And, when you're teaching, you can look at the whole group and go, where do I aim my work? And I always aim for those who get it or really make good use of it. And I know for some people, it'll be a beginning right there. That's okay. Diana, you might listen to the recording and go, oh, I could even make use of that at another level. So I don't need to have people get everything all the time. And it's part of why I create recordings, and I send out recordings of my workshops. I make them available because I think we get a piece, and another time we get more.
And
But
oh, sorry.
I want it to be rich for people.
Part of the reason I wanted to share that was to give people permission to just be where they're at, and to allow spirit to work through them, whether they know what spirit's doing or not. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to happen. Right? It's all good. Thanks.
Great. So one of my biggest weekend rituals was for 27 years, I did a visioning ritual, and you've seen some of the materials from it. All the planning tools are the second day. But the first day, we would ground, we'd do invocation, we'd do some singing. I'd always have musicians. And I had a world-class drummer from Jamaica that I loved. Then we do a meditation of future self, which has become the Femifesting, to go into the future to see what the future has to offer. And then I would have paper, like a letter, stationery, and the future self would write them a letter. And we'd put it in an envelope, and they'd address it and put it on the altar. And 6 weeks later, I'd send it to them. Because something like that you send later, it brings alive the ritual again. Plus, it helps them remember you. They want to come back. Then we would go into the Shadowlands, figure out all the things they wanted to release, and I would walk them through their fear places, their saboteurs, all the dark parts of the shadow. And they'd write these down on pieces of paper, and I'd have a fire. So then they would hold the paper, infuse it with what they were releasing, and everybody would be drumming. We'd start a drumming circle, and we would have the drumming circle really go with the person's movements. Then each person did a dance of release in the middle of the circle. And so whatever to them was the way to let this go, they would do this dance of pulling it out, or throwing these things down, or stomping on the papers, or whatever would help them get it out of their body and into the papers. And then they would go throw it in the fire. And it was really powerful. That was the whole morning. And then in the afternoon, we do vision boards. And then we would do a ritual of each one walking past each other, kind of like the spiral circle, so they could see each other's visions boards. And then they dance the new way into their body. And in the evening, everyone got 2 minutes to share whatever they wanted to share with the whole circle witnessing them. Might be sharing a vision board, or it might be a dance or a poem, and then singing and movement at the end. People got tremendous change from those days. And the next day was all planning tools. So we had a right brain day and a left brain day. You know, I think another ritual is pulling cords. So I might do it with a client, you might do it with yourself. First, you prepare the opening, then you clear the cords, and then some people stop with that, or they'll just cut them. I believe in pulling them because I want to get the roots out. And you pull them out and you burn them, or you give them to the light. And then the resolution, you bring in light and wash through all the places where the cords were, and encompass yourself in light. And that's the piece people often forget, the up and outs, to fill up with your own light. Anytime you're doing emptying, complete it with filling. In a channeling this week we had a person who was really working with releasing friends where there was not reciprocity. And we were doing a good job talking about it, but all of a sudden the council took it into ritual. So in the middle of my therapy room on the rug is this circle of flowers that's about this big. You can't see my hands, but they're out here. And so we had her sit in the circle and take some object from the room to represent each friend and decide where she wants them now in relation to the center of her circle of friends. And so she moved some people out, and she put some people way outside the circle. And then she named the people in the circle, and then she felt, it's like, I already have everyone I need. I have the friendship. I have the love I seek. I can let go of trying to make all these other things work. And she really, truly let go of everyone that she was doing more than half the work. We gave her a candle that was like a lotus flower, and she held that and then claimed this new reality. And at the last moment, I got my camera and I videoed it and sent it to her. So that's how I feel lasting change happens. That's why I love ritual, because I think it creates more lasting change. Even as simple as in another session, there was a moment where we'd been talking about all the changes, and this guy he's a therapist, he's a spiritual healer, he's a tantrika. He's done a lot of work, and it's like, I haven't been able to change this underlying stuff. And all of a sudden, I just launch into prayer. And I go, Great Mother Goddess, I surrender my controlling mind. I let go of all the ways that I am keeping myself from moving forward. He said, okay, that works. That touched me. So I got the key for him. And everybody's got a key. So you watch for it. You know, what shifts people? What's speaking their language? And that was a language he hadn't spoken before. I often will use Kali's cleansing fire to spiral it through the body. You go into imagery, it's going to shift the unconscious stuff or the early stuff. All right. So I really encourage you to do Jessica Hadari's and see her 13 rituals for bringing in the work you want. Week from Friday, it's free. And I think you'll also see the value of free offerings and how it can be used in a really elegant way to promote your work. And she'll also do classes that are very low cost. And she does more promotion with them. Lucinda.
You had mentioned earlier that you've written this down somewhere. Is this in an email or in the Mighty Network, or where exactly is this link that you spoke of?
It's in Mighty Networks.
And how do we find it?
It's in the it's also in chat now. In Mighty Networks, it's in the news feed, or you go to topics, and I put it under spiritual practices.
Okay.
I'm finding it interesting. I go into Mighty Networks and I don't see all of your posts. So then I go member my
Yeah.
member, and then I can see them.
Well, I can't do that. Like, I don't know how to go through by the members. I haven't learned how to go through it. I can't even find my own post that I put on there about the lake week. And like, I don't know, it vanished. And I was like, well, I guess there's another form of communication that this is wanting to present itself in. So yeah,
I didn't find it either.
yeah.
I'm having a
Well,
hard time with I'm having a hard time working with Mighty Networks too.
me
I
too.
can't find or read stuff. Just as I'm challenged by the platform.
Well, it's not the best. It's what we have.
Okay.
The Facebook is easier, but people didn't like its lack of privacy. So, well, I'm going to try to find it if I can work it better. Do you know how to save the chat? 3 little dots down on the bottom right next to the smiley face. You click that and it'll say save chat.
Yeah, I don't even have that.
Okay. So let me show you Mighty Networks a minute.
Or you could just copy and paste it and put it somewhere else for later. Sure.
I just clicked on it and saved it to another page,
Mhm.
and it took me right to it.
Yeah.
So in Mighty Networks, if you're in our summer 2022 spiritual mentorship, make sure you're there. And see this one that says topics? You go to topics and spiritual practices.
Mm.
So this is it. Teacher Jessica Hadari, it's right there. But what I find when I go into Mighty Networks, everything should be in the activity feed. It's not always. So I go to members, and then I just go to each one of you and see what you've been posting. And it will say, Lucinda posted 14 hours ago. If it says a week ago, I know I've done something with it. I just go by members.
Okay.
And there've been 13 since I was in this morning. Good. Yay, y'all. I love it. Oh, I want to go back. We just shared something else in topics. There's a lot of planning tools. And we just added this one. So some of you were saying, you see this circles? Some of you were saying, I'm spinning. I've just got too much on my plate. I don't know where to put my attention. So if this is a blank template, it's the size of a sheet of paper. You can draw 3 circles. And then this one tells you about using it. It's very simple. It's a priority setting. In the inner circle, you put what's most central to your heart's desire, to your purpose, what you most want to do. And then the middle circle, you put what's important. It supports the inner circle. You're interested in it. Just throw it in intuitively. It's a very quick thing. You can do it in 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then the outer circle is everything else. What you find when you look back is the outer circle is the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. It's what everyone else told you should do, or you think you should do, but the inner circle is where your heart is. And then you do the inner circle, you focus there. And when you do that, when you focus on the inner circle, maybe some of the middle, you're right on your heart's desire. You're right on your real path. So that's in Mighty Networks, and you can print those out and use them. Okay. So, unless there's some comment or question, I think it's time for our break. Yes. Let's come back at 35 after the hour.
Okay. Yeah, it was helpful just to see that part to get in. I think that'll be good. Thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
I never watched the intro video, so that's probably the issue.
It might help.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I love y'all.
And did you want to stop your video recording,
Thank you.
Evelina?
You're so
You're
good.
welcome, dear.
And I learned something about Mighty Networks. We played with it during break. You see, when you're in activity feed, you can sort. I had mine sorted by last activity, but if someone cheers something, it puts it at the top. So now we tried it date created, and then we got what was posted today. So play around with that. And you can also do show everything or just some of it. Okay? Play around with those, and those may help. I also want to ask that we not use the cheer button very often. It's cute, but every time someone cheers something, I have to go open it and close it. And I'd rather you'd make comments or just go send your love. That would help me. Thank you.
This is my network is not the pink, it's the blue. So I know that when you sent that email, when I went through to post something, it was different than just going to the app directly and posting from there.
I think that may be true, but does it say summer 2022 spiritual mentorship? Are you in that group?
I'm seeing the feed of everyone.
Then you're in it. Okay, great.
Yes. And you know it when the notifications come, there is when you click on it, it says mark as read. So you can just mark as read and it clears all that.
I know that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And it's just that I have to click on it. Oh, maybe I can mark it as read, you're saying. I didn't know that. How do I do that?
Okay, so on mine, I don't know if you can see this. When I go to all of that, it has a thing at the bottom that says mark as read. And then and this is my phone, so it may be different.
Yeah.
There's a button that you can click.
I don't have it here.
And I wonder if it's under settings.
Oh,
right
there it is.
Right there. And then if you click on that mark as read, it will clear it all.
Okay, so I could go look at the ones I want and then clear them all.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, community. All
So
right.
just to be clear, the clicking on the heart button is cheering, right?
Yeah, now it's okay. Go ahead and share. I can
Okay.
clear it. Takes a village to learn everything we need to learn, doesn't it? Yeah.
And to watch videos.
To watch videos. Right. Well, it's all right. If all of us hold some part of the knowledge, we don't all have to hold everything, which is really good. So let's call in our friends in high places. Ready? Breathing and grounding, allow yourself to center, flowing right into the core of your body, arriving in the heart of now, the safest place from which to work with spirit. I ask the angels and archangels, please create for us a crystalline temple of radiant energy all around each one of us now and in the replays, cleansing and clearing all energies not of the light from around us, and weaving for each person our own chrysalis of radiant light, filled with the rays and vibrations needed by this work and by our lives and evolution. I ask God, Goddess, source of all that is, encompass us in your radiance, ensure only beings serving love, light, and truth may participate in any way. Deepest healing and highest guidance is received. If you will, breathe and ground, invoking the radiant heart of your soul to assist you in receiving all you need, releasing all it serves to release, and filling with your radiance, breathing in your light and light from source. Welcoming into this sacred temple of light, the Council of 12, and from the heart of the light only, those who are guides or loved ones for anyone here. And welcome. Welcome to your own radiant self. It's really fascinating to notice that as each of you step into this space through the invocation, in many ways, you're stepping more into your essence nature. You feel that? It's when you breathe down your center, it's like kind of as if that which is most aligned with your soul, most your soul signature coalesces in the center. What you may not have seen, because the invocation is actually designed for people to close their eyes. While your eyes were closed, did anyone see? Were any of your eyes open? So what you might see is Evelina using that time to clear her field. And it's almost like we were really witnessing today. It's like releasing the personal. And so any place where any of your energies were in her field was released. Anyone else, there was some energy back here. So she's clearing the vessel. And we're creating the bigger vessel, the temple. And we're creating the field to be like a mirror on the outside, like your early meditation. So it's all light within and around, and then everything else is sent out. So even if someone wanted to come as one of your guides, this protection would go, not now, not now. Preparing the vessel is a very important way of allowing what you bring through to have the clarity you want. And you know that difference. You know, times when you're in a session or you're writing a poem or you're speaking to someone and it feels like gold pours through. It's like, whoa, oh, I like that. Oh, it's nice what you just said. Because your vessel's clear. And when it's really clear, it's like you have the capacity then to inhabit and do your work, do your life from the inside out. The trauma response and what gets set up in so many people in these eras when PTSD is almost the norm The trauma response is to live life from the outside in. What will people think of me? Is this what they want? Do I really have a right to do that? What if people don't like it? Right? Spent some of your life with those considerations. What if it's not good enough? What if I goof? That's all about other people. What if I arrive? What if I allow that in me, which is my soul, it's eternal, it's got all the wisdom of the universe at its disposal? What if I allow that to draw me to center, to speak through me, to sound through me? You see, it's accessing the highest and best in you. And even if you do it before you go do a session where you're coaching or you're interacting with animals or you're doing your real estate, whatever you're doing it from a place of inside out, inner directed rather than outer directed. So what does my soul want? What does my heart want? What's most resonant with my spirit? Imagine that. If all your actions, your thoughts, your actions, your words, whatever evolves in your life, what if it was all truly resonant with your spirit? So that's what we seek. We seek to release those coping systems that focus outside and to become more and more fully grounded in the center. You know, when you dance, when you ecstatic dance, you're almost always in your center, right? You're dancing from the inside out. If you're not, you're trying to dance like somebody else or dance like you pretend you know what you're doing, but you always know what you're doing if you're coming from your core. So if you want some new dance steps, you go, okay, soul, this is some fun music. I want to bring through the best dancer in my soul's existence. So wherever I've known the absolute most ecstatic dance to this music, I want to channel that right now. You see, and if you're in your core and you're grounded and centered, you can channel anything from your soul. And it's been around, right? There's a tendency to focus on past lives for what I need to heal, for what's wrong, for the difficult times. And then people live them on unless they clear them. We don't want to share a past life with someone unless we're going to resolve the issues, because otherwise it just brings it in more. But you can go to your highest, your most exalted life. So right now, I want to bring through whatever part of my soul can shift my consciousness and help me return to the place I live in me when I am at my happiness. I want that right now. You see, order it up. It's there. You've been around through eternity. Oh, great Mother Goddess, oh soul, I need more focus. I want to call upon the most exalted aspect, life of my soul, where I really mastered focus. And I want to call that in. And I want to learn. And so you call that in, and maybe you meditate, maybe you have an image or a sense, or maybe it's just a felt sense of focus. If you get an image, you get a sense, and talk to them, have a conversation, and ask if they'll guide you. But always you call for the highest, most exalted, most radiant. Go for the best. right? The universe is at your disposal. There's a wonderful saying, the universe rearranges itself to fit your picture of reality. So paint some pictures you want to live in and invite spirit to bring them about. That's what ritual does. It draws new pictures. It offers new visions. It potentiates possibilities that weren't there before the ritual. And you're here, we believe, each of you, because in a way you want to live bigger with more ease. You want to live bigger without working harder, right? You want to have a stronger impact, but more ease. You want to let your work get out in the world in a way that really uses it and changes people. But you want a work-life balance. So you can't get bigger with the methods you've already used. You'll get busier. And then it gets unsustainable. And then it cracks somewhere or you get unfocused. So you want to get bigger by accessing wisdom higher than the consciousness you've been operating from. Einstein said, you can never change a situation in the consciousness that created it. So always when you want something new, start by shifting your consciousness. Beam me up. But you can ask specifically. So, soul, I am choosing to expand my work and simplify my life. Now you figure that one out. And bring me from wherever in my being is the wisdom to do both simultaneously. So Evelina's felt this desire to gift again something from her Tantra work, but she set a really clear boundary with the universe. I won't work hard at it. I will offer my legacy, but someone else has to do the work, set up the events, handle it, all the logistics, all advice. I just want to show up and work. It's happening. It took us 4 years to arrange that and create enough trust and for her to be ready. But you see, when you let the universe know the way you will have it, and then you use that as kind of a guide for what you choose, it will go there. And those 3 circles, take all the things that are on your plate, get it down to the center, make your orders there, and then the rest happens, or it doesn't need to. You are all quite inventors, adventuresses. You'll always be creating more work than you can do. Get over it. So keep choosing, keep prioritizing, keep going to the center, keep finding what's so important that at the end of my life, I'll go, I'm glad I did that. Right? Do your bucket list now with your work. What is so important that I want to devote my life to it? Because you are, right? Your breath, your days, your time. So many things are unlimited. Really, money is. It's hard to believe for some people, but love is unlimited. All kinds of things are unlimited. Faith, hope, charity, etc. Time seems to be limited. So you keep reprioritizing and refocusing and honing in on what do I want from my core? Because when you're inner directed, the answer to that gets clearer and clearer. And it may not be what your mind thinks you can do. Oh, well. It's not running the show anyway. Well, that was fun. So how about we go to our inquiry mode now? Thank you. Thank you for receiving. Does anyone have an inquiry? And we have a poll first. Would you like some of this to be time where you tune into channel, or shall we do it like last week of the council answering and others when they feel called? How many want the first one? How many want the second one? Somebody want something different, or? Okay, great. So Olivia, your inquiry. So we're doing the second one, by the way. You can still tune in and listen. If something comes through, please share it. Yes.
You're speaking to me through the council, it feels so. I started writing a book like a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
And it's always been this like dream and desire, and one of those things that I felt like this is what one of the things that I'm going to do in my work. And every time I sit down, and the first part of it just poured through me, like
Mhm.
weeks just writing. And I think I wrote this big chunk of it, like 100 pages or something. And then the flow kind of stopped.
Mhm.
And every time I try to find it again, I struggle with it. And I think there's a part of me that really wonders, is it, and I'm like really trying to get clear on, is it the book? Like, is this not the book to finish? Did that just need to happen for its own experience? Is that what it is? And am I just telling myself it needs to be more finished? Or is there something kind of blocking that from being completed?
Several things come through. One is we feel you're looking for the flow you had, which then you're looking for a past thing.
Mm.
And instead, we want you to just be open to the flow that's right now. So there's something very, very beautiful. A whole lot of the heart of the book has been written. It feels like phase is a different process. And so it's looking at what you have and seeing what's missing, and are there connector pieces here, and what might be a story to add there. It feels like it wants to be massaged. And once we're massaging what you've got, it's partly copy editing, but ooh, it feels like it wants something right there. Now you know what you want the next flow to address. So it's like that's going to, in a sense, spark the flow. And you look at, oh, I want something there. Maybe you just make a list of I want to write something there. I want a story here. And then one of them ignites you, and there you are again. You see, you have to enter from today. You can't enter from the past. That's inner directedness. Yeah. We also wonder if in this time of ebooks and shorter books, if it's a smaller book than your mind thinks it is. And maybe it's a book that has a second book. What's that? What happens when we say that?
There are 2 books that are forming.
Mhm.
Yeah, one is more like applied and kind of workbooky, and the other one is more information. And the hope was to have the 2 together so that there's some of each happening in there, and it's like a whole kind of guidebook process where it's like this companion to the journey.
And which one flowed?
The one that is more didactic than the workbook, although the workbook or the didactic one does have like art exercises in it. So there's some of each.
It feels like the workbook is a little different part of your consciousness, and your muse is different.
Mm.
It's not the same muse. It's going to feel different. It's more you're grounding things in exercises.
Mm.
And so you're kind of looking for what the flow was with the other muse. You've got a different muse for each book.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The first process was so magical. It was like it was like an altered state. And I do really want to return to that because it was so rich and it was just flowing, it just coming out of me so easily. And I don't think I've ever experienced anything quite like that creatively. So yeah, there is a part of me that really wants to like go back to that and tap into that and be in that.
Of course you
I
do.
really appreciate the reminder of.
It was ecstatic, and we would say orgasmic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One should have orgasms in their work. We agree.
Like I want more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we feel that by massaging what you've got in the instructional book, there's some pieces that want to get added, and we feel didactic's not quite the word. It's educational, informational background to the workbook. So the one that comes as the muse you're working with says you also have a copy editor muse when you're ready.
Mm.
This book involves several on this side of the veil, these books. So you can also sit in meditation and say, I just want all the radiant, light-filled beings that are a part of this writing to come and sit with me and help me get activated again. I ask for support in entering the altered states, the sacred spaces that allow me to write. And I understand it's a different entry now, so help me find the gateway. Yeah. So when things are pouring through and you're learning as you're letting them come through, you can know there's a collaboration of some kind with spirit. And it's you writing, and it's us. And it's you, and it's us. Yeah. So you sit with the us to help reactivate the you. And it'll be a different portal, but you'll find those states again. They'll find you. I want to say one more thing, which is the refinement of a book is rarely as exciting as the first pouring through. So you might just want to get these finished and let the next one pour through. And both are true. There's more altered states with this, but it's also true that then it gets down to what else, and copy editing, proofreading, and you're loving the book, but it's not so much taking you on the ecstatic journey that you've experienced. So you just get to thank it and bless it and go, and now what do you need, book? It also guides you. Anyone else have an offering here? We see some.
Yeah, I'm resonating more with having a past creation that came out as like a workbook book, and not sure if like this message was also for me in some ways. So that's why I'm kind of like percolating in there.
Uh-huh.
I love-
What does it touch in you?
Well, in our earlier section, I let go, like, I feel like I really want to let go of the limitations and constraints of being a therapist. And the workbook I wrote is like how to heal trauma,
Mhm,
combining a lot of the approaches I've learned,
mhm.
including some of the mystical work is infused in that writing of this workbook, but it's pretty dense. So I kind of appreciate the advice that was given, you know, like I could add a lot now to it, and I just let that all go
Good.
in our little thing we just did. So it's kind of that part of integration. Like, do I integrate that part of me of what I'm bringing forward? Even though like how I'm working now, I'm just feel really done. Like, and so I was kind of, even with the word muse that you were using with Olivia, I was kind of like, what does that really mean? The muse.
What it means is that you're collaborating with some being or archetype of spirit that resonates with your soul and your mission, your journey.
Okay,
And
so
it
more
isn't so
outside,
much,
not me, not the different part of me. It's like more in the, well,
it could be. I mean, what do you call me? Does it stop here? Then it's not.
yeah,
Does it go up here? Yeah. God, yes. So there's only one.
got it,
Um,
got it.
sometimes the muse is an aspect of your being. So, you know, someone has a child and at age 5, they can play Mozart. Well, they might have an aspect of their being that was Mozart or played with him or played those, you know, did that before. And so the muse is actually in their soul's experience. Yeah. And it may be another being outside of your soul. And what we were saying earlier about calling in more exalted aspects of your soul is a sense, I want a muse. I want someone who's so good at focus that they can teach me, or I want someone who's so good at shifting my consciousness to my higher vibration that they can lift me up. Whatever, you can call in a muse. Yeah. What we feel is people can get into it's a channeled book, and then they don't feel they can add to it. It's an either or kind of mentality. You know, when you have a muse that might be your soul, might be other relatives on the inner plane, part of your spiritual family, that's helping you with your writing. It's not me or them. It's a co-creation with spirit. And why not your whole life be a co-creation with spirit? It really improves things. Yeah, a theater friend of mine used to say, edit, edit, edit regarding creativity. My second husband did editing online health systems way back in early years of the internet. And he would say there's no such thing as a final edit. Which means at some point you edit, 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 and then you stop. And as far as there's a whole lot of stuff I could add to the book, let it percolate. There might be a next one. At some point you go, this is a wrap. You know, it's like, I want to tell everything I know and give my whole legacy in this book. It's going to be 400 pounds. I want to give this piece of my legacy in this book. It's the same when you do videos. If you notice people's videos online, they give a snippet. Then you watch. They get 15 minutes, you go, I'll watch that later. along with all the others you might someday, perhaps in your old age, watch later, except you've added to the file by then. Right? So you give a piece, a dollop of, that's nice. Ooh, complete for now. And you give it. And then you can give another. That's how authors get a lot of books. But they're manageable. They're not tomes that people don't get around to reading. And that's the advantage of some of these ebooks. You know, they put it on a Kindle, they take it to the beach, and in an afternoon, they read the whole thing. So it's a different world. You know, think of it in terms of messages. It used to be somebody might speak on your answering machine and you loved having them go on because it was so nice to have contact. Now with all the contact, cut to the chase. Tell me you love me at the end. Hang up. Right? For most of it, things need to be briefer. And when you first go on a live anything, put something really juicy in the first minute. And then see if you can keep it to just a few. It's enough. It's not how much you give, it's what people take in. It's the same with communication. It's not how much you say, it's what gets heard, what gets received. And the pusher, the driver wants to give it all. But when you're inner directed, you realize, oh, that's the gift. That's enough. And then you watch all the voices in your mind. I could have said more, and and you go, shh, good enough. Plenty good enough. Would you write that down? Plenty good enough. It's a really good thing to use a lot. Well, that's plenty good enough. Yeah. That's how you get work-life balance. You find where's the line of plenty good enough. I could go back and edit this one more time, but it's plenty good enough. I could go add another chapter. It's plenty good enough. I could call 10 people back, or I could go for a walk. I think I benefit more from the walk, right? You find that line of enough. Yeah. Okay, next inquiry. Lucinda? You're welcome.
I don't necessarily have an inquiry, but I had a point that Spirit wanted to share with Olivia, if that's okay.
Yes. Okay.
So what they're showing me is interweaving some of your poetry and using that as a bridge, that muse is coming to you very loud and clear, and it's playful and it's fun. And that it also can share with your readers a way that you've used to remove some of your own blocks by just sharing these like snippets. I'm seeing snippets of poetry in between chapters where you feel like maybe there's a need for more of an immersion between the two, and it's completely fine for them to be completely separate. How do you feel about using your poetry in that way?
I actually have other people's poetry in between. That's so interesting.
So how about having some of yours? Would that be okay?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you.
Beautiful. When we spoke of the transitions, it looked a little like that. Thank you for finding the words. So this is Spirit working beautifully together. Yeah. And maybe you get to call your poetry plenty good enough. All right. Who else would like to speak? Lucinda?
Wow. So my question just jumped, so I'm going to roll with it. um, and my question starts with a little share, just to tee it up a little bit, because what I was feeling in my heart space is this beautiful connection with my dog, Blaze. And when I lived on the plantation for a year and a half, I channeled 20 hours a day with him. And that's just what we did. That was our life together during that time period of healing.
Mhm.
And so he is loving us girls getting back together. He's like coos. And each time, and it's funny because he completely ignores us until we get to this section. And then he just looks at me and stares and coos. And he's just so happy to have all the spirits around. And so that's what prompted my quick and swift question is, how can I serve this gift in the highest and greatest good for the world? And that's what I'm wanting to hear a little bit, if the Council of 12 can guide me in that platform and what that looks like to help me step into sharing more of this with others besides my clients and you guys.
This gift being your capacity to channel.
Mm-hmm. And being divinely guided and open to source 24/7. I mean, it never stops for me. It's constant. Yeah.
Mhm. It's lovely. If you could gather a circle of the people you most want to put your legacy into, what kind of people would they be?
Mm. And they're the light workers of the world,
Mhm. Mhm.
especially the little ones, the younger ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What age especially?
The ones that find me are usually the ones that's parents are not equipped to understand their language.
Mhm.
And so the parents will come to me for a clearing or something, and then they're like, oh, you talk just like my daughter. So
Mhm.
it's those, the ones that are the advanced souls that are all knowing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All knowing, you see them easily, others around them don't see them. And you're like, in the native tradition, you'd be the kiva they bring them to
Yeah.
for the training and the validation and
Mm-hmm.
the awakening of those capacities. So you want to hold that sense of this is my audience. And you can think in terms of a particular child of that kind as your avatar. So spirit, bring me into situations where I serve more of these in larger numbers. So then how's that look? So I have a circle, I have these awakening children. Maybe their parents are there, maybe there's sometimes, and I'm bringing through spirit, but I'm helping them. Are we all contributing? Are we all just sharing what we see, what we know? Am I creating a visioning situation, kind of like we've done here? But we call it something else because they're kids and they got to tell mom and dad. So we all came together today and we dreamed together and we shared our visions and we sharpened our capacity to see visions. And you put it in frameworks like that. We feel that in a way, the challenge is drawing the commitment of families to involve their children in growing these capacities that to them seem pretty strange, right? And then you're validating. So when you see that kind of circle, as we're playing, doing our finger dance around something, what occurs for you? What lands in the center for you?
As I'm hearing you speak, what's showing up is the importance for me to guide and support the parents because they are there every single day with those
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
And so I see it happening on layers,
Mhm.
and that to hold space and to teach the children with them not having the support of their families almost feels as though it would make their poor human bodies have even more of a challenge.
Yes.
It's like it becomes too dense and it wants to be lifted and to be more light spaced. So
Mhm.
I'm seeing that in essence, I'm to win over the families, the parents, so it becomes their idea. And they're the ones that are learning and then sharing it with their sons and daughters.
Mhm.
And that we come together in camps where it's generational.
Yes.
So there's many of us women pulled together that are all having our different modalities that are allowing for
Mhm.
those souls to choose us, whatever it is, but to create a space that's safe where we're all together. Just like I'm seeing that. So when we started our meditation to go into the channeling today, I had a group of Indian women come and dress me. They put makeup on my face and they put this white chief's with chief white feathers on my crown. And so that's what I'm feeling when you're talking about this, is that it's a tribal community, that we're all in our individual huts or spaces or castles or villas or whatever they are, where the mommies and daddies are with the babies. And
Mhm.
we all meet in different circles and we have breakout sessions where the kids get to go have artistic painting and dancing and crystal reading and all of these different things, that it becomes this community, tribal community experience, so that it's not a separation,
Yes.
it's an inclusion.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And the mentoring is with someone has this capacity to see. You notice how we're supporting Lucinda in getting the images and finding what her heart wants. So it's more yours that way than telling you. Yeah. This is the empowerment part of the work we like. We feel then for folks, for muggles, this is a term that communicates for people who have no language like this, you call it family camp. And you're actually training parent skills for evolving intuitives and empaths. Is your screen frozen, Lucinda? Oi. Interesting. There you are. You're muted.
We just blew a circuit. I think that energy was so much that it just blew everything out. I was like, okay, I need to reel that energy back down a little bit. So I'm glad we're back on. I was just about to text one of you, let you know that we just blew a circuit out. So, because I feel like there's a couple messages from the group that are here for me to have as well. If now that I'm back on, and I'm grateful to be able to receive.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Diana?
I don't know that this is coming from spirit, but more from experience. For many years, decades, I would go to Sufi camps, and they always had a children's camp at the same time. I might recommend that if you wanted to, you could attend a Sufi camp and go work in the children's camp, because it's one of the karma yoga positions you can do as a work. Well, everybody has to do some karma yoga. You can also do work exchange. And you would spend
Cool.
part of your time in the meditation tent and part of the time with the children, or could work full time there. But it's often one of the best parts of camp is after the universal worship service on the last day, the children come and do their offering from what they've experienced. And it's often very much in alignment with everything we have been working with,
Mhm.
even though they haven't been a part of that. It's fascinating and it's fun. I'm not sure if that's helpful, but I thought I would recommend it or suggest
No,
it.
it sounds amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the Sufis have a way of training people without even seeming to in skills for being out in the world. And so the parents learn, the children learn, they go home with more of a shared language. Yeah, beautiful. Olivia, thank you, Diana.
As soon as you asked the question, I had this vision come through of this children's book. And it was like holographic, like it was very beautiful, like very kind of fairy tale energy, about this sort of light child or children who are supported by their family. Evelina made a Harry Potter reference, and like almost kind of the opposite of Harry Potter. And I just could see like the child in bed with the parent like reading this to the child, and that becoming part of their relationship and their culture without it being an effort. Like it's play, and there's something like very like normalizing and at home for the child in the vision. I don't know if that means anything or makes any sense to you, but wanted to share it.
Well, that's pretty awesome because I've actually already written a book. So I would say 75% of it's done. And I use animals as the characters. And yeah, so Blaze is one of the main characters that was manifested before his birth and conception. So that's why he, I think, appears to be such a magical dog. So thank you for that reminder that the segue into the Munchkins is definitely Blaze and Lily. So there's a little story there. So awesome. Thank you. But also to validate you that you're right on.
Yes. So if you breathe, you might take that in. She said to validate you that you're right on. Interesting. You had trouble hearing that one line, isn't that? Selective filter, maybe?
Block there.
I was just
Karen?
gonna, this is just also from more of my human, but I have been getting a lot of the same messages. I don't necessarily work with the children, but I am seeing the work happening in the village where we gather the families, and it's done in community. And you know, a couple of with the Purple Sovereign Nation camp, I feel like was a really beautiful beginning of that, where there was no separate camp. The kids were in the center and ran free, and were weaving the energies. And I've never seen my son so happy. And he's like, I'm free. I'm free. I don't even have to tell you where I'm at. And this little pod, they did the trampoline, and then they did the tubing, and then they did the lake, and they were selling the crystals, and they were like weaving among what we were doing as adults, in a very free, no supervised way of being children. You know, and I don't know if any of them are like the children you're speaking of necessarily. Anyway, so I was like, been really feeling this, bringing back the tribe and our gifts, you know, and then breaking off like who's resonating in different parts, and we all resonate at different times and different things. So I just wanted to support and weave that vision into the space.
Beautiful.
I love it. And it makes sense why Nina brought forward that boys camp that's being converted over into another space. I don't know if I think I shared that with you about the boys camp. Nina, are you on here?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking, no wonder that's like this first space that popped up in your mind for our retreat. And I was like, that's really big. There's a lot of construction going on. We're not really there yet, but
Yeah.
we're definitely going to be there. I was just, yeah. So it's just kind of pulling all of these little knowings together. So
Yeah.
thank you, Nina, for holding that space for my question 4 weeks ago. And you didn't even know that's what you were doing on a conscious level, maybe.
Yes, I did also, as you were just speaking, I received an image, like a snippet of just you being on a screen. So basically it's kind of showing that, yes, the message, as Evelyn was saying, it needs to be out to the world. So it was kind of like receiving you on this platform so that you were able to reach a lot of people. And actually, that is last week when I was talking about an opportunity for women that is starting learning centers throughout. She may be actually a good contact for you. So I'll send you that information later. But
Awesome.
it may be a good resource for you.
So the similar group to the Sovereign Camp last summer did Health Freedom Festival, and there were 400. And one of the most beautiful things was there were children. They were just free, running all around, doing all kinds of things. There was a lake for swimming, and they were unsupervised, but they were village supervised.
Yeah.
And what I would witness is a kid would run up with another kid to a parent that wasn't their parent, and that parent might offer a little supervision or suggestion. And so when you're in a tribal land, then there's this sense of what was much more normal of extended family, that we all support each other. And then it's not parents from their own limited knowledge. They get the wisdom of all the other parents as well.
Yeah,
I
the
grew up-
parents' nervous system are all able to relax, including mine, to really step in to either my own gifts or receiving, the giving and the receiving, versus when you're in parent mode, all on your own. Like, it's hard to, I mean, I just have so much compassion for that, for myself, where I was. I'm really received so much support now from the village. My prayers have been answered there, but I know what it was like when they were younger. Without that. So I just feel like we're really co-creating something beautiful here. And these are a lot of our clients too, right? Like either young parents or healers or, whatever we all work with.
Feels like your work just went multi-generational. Family camp, working with teaching the kinds of skills that a village life would have trained us in.
Yeah, it's like a light camp. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Diana?
Thank you all.
I can see you advertising it to the parents of the gifted children, essentially, or whatever term you want to use, because there's so many terms out there. Not every parent would know those terms. But if, like you could say, if your child is talking about their past life and you don't understand, whatever it is, or, just that could be a part of the advertising, is to say, hey, if you're not, understanding your child, this camp might be good for you because we can help work together.
Beautiful.
That sounds awesome. You can write that marketing blip. That would be fabulous.
All right. Thank you all. I just want to add, as Evelina, I grew up in a kinship group. I had that privilege. They weren't totally conscious, but my dad was one of 13, and 10 of the families lived within 20 miles of us. And what my parents didn't know, somebody else's did. So my parents didn't know how to play, but my cousins did. And things I got to experience in their homes rounded out my life. And it's part of why I love groups of 30 or 40. That was the size of our Thanksgiving dinner. So you're creating something similar, effective. Yes. All right. So let's clear the space of what feels really joyous here. We have time for another inquiry or two. Oh, you do, Carrie. That's great. Yeah, I can see that with you. Yep. Who has an inquiry? Diana?
Um,
And Nina, if we have time.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, I would just like to ask what the Council of 12 has to offer me.
The universe?
Okay, I accept.
Excellent. To be a little more specific, we feel, Diana, that, no, we want to answer it this way. We feel that there's a reactivation wanting to occur in you of your spiritual prowess, that place in you that knows you're divine and dances from it in your life and your work. And it feels to us that you've come away from it in dealing with your mother's stuff and houses and all of that. And that's all fine. You've learned, you've grown. And yet there's a yearning in you that wants to be answered. And it seems to us that you keep getting called away with details and logistics of other things. And we want you to give real attention to that yearning. That yearning, what does my soul want me to do? If I lived in the heart of my soul's expression, so that's inner directed. What does my soul want me to do? Tell me. That's outer directed. If I were really dancing from my center and living in the heart of my soul's direction, what wants to emerge from there? And we'd love for you to sit with that, spend some time with that. Do whatever gets you into an altered state, whether that's some kind of plant medicine or it's meditation. You need to shift out of the consciousness that's kept you in where you are. And so maybe you chant for 20 minutes. You get into an altered state and you sit with, what is the heart of my soul and the heart of my body and the heart of my being want me to do now? What's my expression? What will fulfill my life? And you know that because you've been there before, but you've been there kind of like, I grew up with spirituality, I grew up with this, and I got into the Sufis and it all just evolved for me. And it's kind of like, how do I get back to that flow of the book that Olivia was talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, I know that flow, but it's back there. How do I get back to that flow of the book? How do I get back to that flow of my life? You stop. And you stop looking for it and you stop trying and you stop letting any distractions happen and you go in, because that's where it's going to come from. What is my most sacred dance now?
Thank you.
You're in the age of the matriarch. We'll post the matriarch stuff for y'all. Great poem and great article. We'll post it for you. You're in the age of the matriarch. Up to that point, it's the matron, it's the building of a career, and it's the building of resources and doing for people who are parents, it's handling parenting and all of that. Then there's the matriarch phase. And it's like, okay, goddess, what do I want to be when I grow up? It's called middlescence. It's like adolescence. It's like you've come to a certain place. And then it's, do I just drift on in? You know, I'm of an age, I could just say I'm retiring and I'll just drift on home. Or is there a new quickening that wants to happen? There's a new quickening we feel that wants to happen in you. You got such amazing gifts to give. And there's a quickening that wants to be your expression of the giving of those gifts. How's that land?
I think that's the message I've been getting, and I guess I've been a little resistant to it on some
A
level.
little, a little.
Okay, so you caught me. No, oh man.
So do a ritual with your resistance. Give your resistance a day on the stage. So a ritual might be, I'm going to let this side of the room be me acting out my resistance. And I'm going to let this side of the room be me allowing the quickening. And then you go be the resistance. You know, if it's got that much power, let it reveal itself to you. What's it look like? How does it move? What's it say? Give it a whole lot of expression and then thank it. It saved you in some way, somehow. That's why it's there. It's a coping mechanism. And then you invite it to sit down. And then you go be this that really wants to follow this and allow the quickening and entertain it and express it and see what it feels like and what it happens in the body with it. Reveal it. Then have it sit down. Then have them talk to each other. See what happens. And a resolution will evolve just from the attention to both sides. Otherwise, you're in the stress between. So you just act out both sides.
Yes. That resonates with me.
Beautiful. Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we have a little while, Nina. Would you like?
Yes. Okay, so I'm not sure how to ask the question. I was working with a shaman when I was in Jackson Hole from Peru, and was talking to her last week with animals and how to clear all shadows or blockages that are possibly not having, just to release all that. One of the things she was saying was that I feel that all animals have unconditional love and that we transmute a lot of the humans' energy. And she was saying that possibly from tuning in and tapping into the animals, that it can contaminate me from their energy. So I wanted to see, because I'm not clear and I need to re-ask, but I wanted to see maybe what the council had to say about that. Or I don't know, that may be a little confusing, or I may not be as clear as I should.
We didn't hear that last.
Well, I'm not sure it's is very clear as to what I'm stating.
So what we hear is that you're being given this guidance from someone you've trusted, that some animals might have an energy that is in some way polluting your energy or dampening your field. And it may be true at times. We also sense there have been times when you're doing healing that you might take on their pain. So it's the same as what we've talked about with people. If you're taking on the other's energy, you're getting a little too involved in your work, personally involved. So you want to touch the pain and be the love. And you touch the animal's energy. It's like you touch it long enough to perceive, but then you come back to self. And it's that self-directed grounding in self. So you're not staying merged with the energy. And again, we feel it's one of those places of trying harder than necessary. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I got enough data. Now I get to go in and see what wants to happen from here. So rather than emerging, there's a tuning in and coming back. And so you're more available to your resources because you're not staying merged with the animal's energy.
Mhm. Okay. I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
So what's the hardest part of the working on it?
I guess I'm unclear as to separate myself or for some, I was tuning into an animal yesterday and it was very bizarre because it was the first time I've ever experienced this. I tuned into the animal and then they had a move. So I tuned in last night for after the move to clear some energy. And of course, I was getting very nauseous and a lot of other things. And I'm not sure, for some reason, I have a feeling something may have happened to the animal in the time that I've spoken to them and done this. And was feeling very nauseous and things like that. But I was working on distancing, like tapping into it and then becoming centered and grounded. And I guess it's just the fact of practicing or trying to figure out how to do it or what it is that I need to do that.
It's practicing, but it also might be prayer. So if you're starting to feel nauseous or like you're taking in the animal's energy, Great Mother Goddess, please hold this animal in your great heart womb. Please encompass this animal in your light so completely that I can feel myself separate from it. And then some of the work we've done of calling yourself in, letting your light spiral down your center, wrap that light around you. If before you work, you fill your 4-inch layer with light, you're going to be able to intuit without going in so much or letting it permeate you. And where energies get in the most is that kind of casual, I'm going to check in before I go to sleep. Because you're not in your field like you would be if you were going to a session. Or you just think about an animal or a child and all of a sudden their energy's there. Evelina has someone that they think about her and it hurts right here on her side, that side of her head. And then she goes, whoa, if that's not mine, please remove it. Oh, that's so-and-so. Great Mother Goddess, would you hold her, please? Hold her in your light and ask her angels to be around her. So you turn it over to spirit at that point. Interesting. She wants a session tonight and the energy came in just a bit from naming it. So we offer that up. Great Mother Goddess, apparently the session's beginning. Would you go attend her and would all the guides that work with her go work with her now? We'll end the session later tonight, but not now. Thank you. You see how we just moved it out? Yeah.
I'm also having deja vu right now. You're doing that.
You're also what?
I just had deja vu of you doing that. So yes, thank you.
I think Jasmine has something to add if you're open.
Yes.
Yes, when you started talking about this with the animals, I actually saw your 8th chakra light up, and I was hearing to ask if you have awareness of your 8th chakra, that it could really guide you. How does that land?
Oh yeah, yes, I do. I am aware of that. I'm not sure if I do in a whole like a tower of light going up for connection, up and down and kind of go all the way around. But I will definitely tune more into that, to focus onto that. So thank you. Yes.
Yeah, because I did receive that's like a guidance system, like a spiritual guidance system that could line you up with yourself and make it very clear on how to relate
Yeah, that's
to anybody around you.
Very good reminder, so thank you. Yes, I will. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Diana.
This is basically coming from my experience as a massage therapist and an orthobionomist, but you could see how you might apply the same principle to your work. As a massage therapist, we would stop our energy at our wrist so that it didn't go up our arms and then, because we're working with our hands, right? And you're absorbing and rescinding. So we would provide this block here, wash our hands afterwards. With orthobionomy, we're doing, it's much more gentle, soft, and energetic work. And we would keep a little finger out so that the energy would release and go down into the ground from the little finger. And so that, you know, you're working with them and you allow that energy to flow through, but it's going down and getting grounded. And there's a lot of different ways to do grounding, but to figure out a way that you can provide a release, an outlet, a way for that energy to move out. And you'll have to figure out how that applies to your work.
That's great, thank you.
So
I'll try
blue
it.
bands around the arm will work. And Archangel Michael loves to draw them with his blue light. Yeah. Or if it's really intense, I'll actually have them put on gloves, like surgical gloves. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
So does that feel complete, Nina?
I think Lucinda was raising her hand too. Did she have her?
Lucinda?
Yes. So what spirit showed me is a past life experience where you were potentially a medicine woman and people would come to you with their problems and you would absorb them and transmute them for them. But that was a long, long time ago. And that wisdom is still with you. And it's a beautiful wisdom that we would love for you to continue to tap into. But what we want to remind you of is that you are doing all of the work to be a channel and to be the vessel instead of the absorber of the energy. But sometimes that old wisdom comes through and it's a good thing. And so what Lucinda does when this happens is she actually goes into a state of gratitude, and that's what switches the energy from an absorption into a reflection. So it's just as simple as the mindset, which each of the other people who have spoken have given other examples, but I felt that that visual might sit for you in a space that made a beautiful connection. Would you like another example of the gratitude piece or?
Yes,
Okay. So
please.
when you're feeling that sense of nausea, or if an actual body part starts hurting, to tell you that it was the animal's leg that had the injury or the throat that had the injury or the physical. This is important because you want to be able to speak to the family and tell them that you know that there was an injury in that spot. It creates the trust. And so when that medicine woman aspect of you shows you the physical, then go into a space of gratitude and say, thank you for the knowledge and the words and the visual aids that I can now share with the client. And then you're able to move on. And when the hands are laid on it, they're not your hands, they're the light. Right?
Yes.
And then you can do the witch part where you zip yourself up or put yourself in a container to not absorb. But I just felt like in addition to that, that medicine woman energy, and just to be reminded, like the movie that's showing up in my head is The Green Mile, where the guy has the bees that just come out of his mouth. Like you don't need to do that anymore. You've already done it 100 times in other lives. So it's there for you, but love it, like hold it and be like, oh, this is amazing. Thank you for showing me that. And then boom, you'll notice that in an instant, as you shift into your gratitude of the knowledge of the gift, that you're no longer nauseous, that you're no longer feeling the pain. And even when grief comes forward for you of the pain, to be grateful for that, because those tears are purifying. They're there to help you and them. And it doesn't have to be a separation, it's a unity.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that resonates. So thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Carrie, I want to address your note. You're feeling a lot of energy. Spinny. Yeah. If you want to unmute.
Yep.
The sense is you may have, as we spoke of, that energy coming in, and Evelina was spinning it out, that you may have either merged with the energy or the spinning. Because you're very sensitive, and she was doing this to clear it out. So
Interesting.
you may have just gone out with it. So bring yourself back in. Let's just do the other direction. Bring yourself in. Wind your way down into your chakras, into now. And really turn all those energies over to the divine. And we think gratitude is a great advice. Being grateful you have you. Being grateful you don't have to go fix anybody right now. Being grateful for your great capacity for sensitivity. Yeah, good. Got you back?
I mean, I'm a little vulnerable to it. Happened a lot yesterday in my dance. A lot was releasing in this way with the spiral. So there's like, it's also connecting to something I'm in right now, but and it came up here. So, but I corkscrewed it the other way, which is actually really helpful. Thank you. It's a tool. Because I
Yeah.
think I was trying to ground it in that same vortex versus I like the going the other direction.
Yeah.
I can feel it really going back in.
Beautiful. And what's almost not known is the body has a spiral energy meridian. And there's two. They're symbolized by the upward spiraling serpent and the downward spiraling, but people draw them around the chakras. But they actually go like from the crown around the back and down the front of the next one, around the back of the heart, down the front of the solar plexus, around the back of the second, and down to the front of the first. And then the other is the opposite spiral, from the first around to the back of the second and on up, around to the front of the third, and around to the back of the heart, and around to the front of the throat, around to the back of the third eye, and to the crown. So they're very interesting to run those spirals when you're finding it challenging to be in your body or you're spiraling out. It's such a joy to work with you all. Such a pleasure. We have an excitement in us and in Evelina as well about the possibility of your time together in September and practicing so many things and sharing your work and sharing your dreams. Feels really good. Yeah. And we'll find a way to bring you in, Heather, even if you can't be there. But you're part of the sharing. Yeah. So we need to keep somewhere near our time boundaries. Thank you all. We thank the Council of 12. We thank all the radiant beings of light who assist us. Thank you to your guides and angels. We release you. And we invite you to continue to provide the highest guidance and direction that our fondest dreams and destinies come true with miracles of grace and ease. We ask the realms of light to bathe this earth with scalar waves of grace, so intensely wonderful that all hearts are uplifted and psyches activated to higher states of consciousness for more peace, love, and joy. Blessed be. We thank each other. Thank you so much. Especially because we've been tuning into each other. We release. I release all of you with love. Take my energy back. Third eye, I release you with love. I draw me back. Breathe yourself in. Throat, I release you with love. I bring me back. Heart, I release you with love. I bring myself home. Solar plexus, I release you with love. I bring my own energy home to me, co-resident inside. Second, I release you all with love. I bring me back. The first, I release you. I bring me home. Wrap yourself in your light. Calling in again the light from your transpersonal chakras, building that 4-inch layer. Ah, blessed be. Let's do one Om just to complete. Breathing in. Om. Thank you and bless you. Namaste.